Welcome to Coaching the Brave podcast with Giovanna Chase. I am so thankful to have you back on the show. Thank you for your loyalty. And for once a month to twice a month, I will be posting at random these beautiful interviews where people have figured out how to make a situation feel unstuckable. Yes, I just made a word. So, in our military spouse communities, it is so easy to feel like we are trapped. We have to wait until our service member's career is finished in order to start our own. Well, that is not true. I am here to break that status quo and to help those who feel stuck to feel unstuck and to feel empowered and motivated to go out and start your own journeys. Start your career. Start it now. That way, when your service member is retired and out, you have a plan. You're established in your plan and you're happy. You're enjoying your life together. And ultimately, positively, this just helps to uplift those who just want to feel good in the day and hear other military spouses or service members or people who support the military hear their story and feel a sense of positivity in a world where negativity is the first thing you see in the morning. So sit back, relax, and if you find this interesting and you have a story to tell, feel free to go down into my description and ask to be on the podcast. It's that simple. And fill out the application there. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, follow, and leave a message. Leave a review on iTunes. And hello, Coaching the Brave community. This is Giovanna Chase, and I'm coming to you from Washington State. We have not left yet, and it's almost the new year. And I want to talk to you today about PCSing and the few things that I have learned about PCSing with an ADHD mind, neurodivergent. And so if you are in any of those categories, whether you are the service member or a spouse of a service member, and you are in the middle of PCSing and you also have ADHD, or your partner has ADHD, or your kids, this will be a enlightening episode for you. The reason why I say this will be an enlightening episode for you is because this is not your typical ADHD education. This is firsthand experience from Coach Yovi and my brain. So I will say we will talk about overstimulation, rage triggers, and communication, as well as what helps me in those situations that could possibly help you or your children. And I really hope that you're able to dialogue with me as you're hearing this episode, and message me, find me on Instagram, or email me, and let's have a chat. Let's talk about it together. Are you overwhelmed? Do you get rage triggers? And is the communication between you and your spouse or you and your kids, is it up to par with how you feel safe in your communication skills and your relationship? So let's get into it. When the most overstimulation I have felt in this move has been the minute we got soft orders to go to Hawaii. You know why? Because I thought we were going to stay here. I thought we were going to stay put. And my mind was already in that mindset of we're not moving for another 2 to 3 years. And I get to have a life, continue my life here. And the kids as well can continue their school here. And we get to keep our house and not have to worry about selling it. Right? So The minute we got those soft orders, my brain already became overstimulated. Secondly, the stuff. And may I say, the stuff, the stuff, the stuff. All of the beautiful memories, all of the beautiful trinkets, all of the artwork, all of the things, all of the things, all of the things that are crammed into your home. And they have beautiful little places, or not, or they are all over the counters, or all over the dressers, all over, everywhere, right? All that is very overwhelming. Now, what got me the worst overstimulated was when my husband said, why don't we do a partial Diddy move to Hawaii? Now, how the hell do you do that? A partial move on your own, a Diddy, means do it yourself. DITY. So we were going to get pods and we were going to move half of our stuff ourselves just because it's more valuable that we thought, and we could take care of it better than anybody else can. That was overstimulating for me because I was already thinking in the back of my head, strength, I need strength, physical strength. Not only do I need strength, we have to come out of pocket financially to buy boxes and tape and wrapping paper for all of our things. And we have to schedule the big container to come to our house. And then, oh, wait, hey, we have an HOA that we have to ask approval for. So that was very overwhelming. And that was just a plan. It was just like a thought that could happen. It wasn't an actual solidified thing that we were going to do, right? So that leads me to organization and who and when to call at what time. See, when you're PCSing, permanent change of station, to a different time zone, not only overseas, but a different time zone, you have to think about that. You have to think, okay, is it daylight savings time? Do they honor daylight savings time or not? If they don't, okay, what's the time zone? What's the time difference? All of those little tiny details we have to put into consideration. Like for Hawaii, for instance, thank goodness we're not on the East Coast. That's a 6-hour difference. We're only 3 hours from Hawaii in Washington. So still being 3 hours is a lot. So like at 3 o'clock here, it's 12 o'clock there. They're at lunchtime. I can't call them because they're at lunch. No one's going to answer, right? So I got to figure that out. So all of that was very overstimulating. You know, looking back at it now, if you have a beautiful system like some of those military spouses who do, I honor and admire you so much for taking the tedious time and synchronized mindset to do that for all of these people, all of these military spouses and families and service members, because that right there is a huge help. And any little tool can help so much, right? It's not always going to help for the whole entire move, but it will help for a little bit. And the fact that you took enough energy from you and that system and all of that frustration, and you took it and you put it into a handout or a checklist or a course or something, like that is amazing. Thank you for that. I did not use that. However, for the pets, we do have dogs. And let me tell you, that old 120-day quarantine situation, I say old because, yes, that's how it used to be. Now, if you play your cards right, like my husband, because he loves dogs, he loves our dogs, and kudos on him. I'm so thankful that he took on that responsibility, because when we got our soft orders, he started everything at the vet for our dogs and our tortoise, by the way, who is an exotic animal. So he did all of that and took on that responsibility. And then I was looking up, to kind of numb my mind from all the responsibilities. I went online and I started looking up housing in Hawaii. And within that rabbit hole search, you know how we do? Yeah, we just get into the research and all of that. I found a pet moving place that will move your pets. They'll do everything, all of the legwork, right? All of the information, the checklist, everything that the dogs need or the pets need in order to get into that country that they work and partner with. They will do it all and send us correspondence, send us updates, send us what records we need and everything and what to ask for, and they communicate with the veterinary clinic on those bases. Or if they're civilian, they will try to communicate with them as well. But they know, what is necessary to transport a dog or a cat or a pig or a tortoise um, from one duty station to the next. If it has to do with airplane travel. Now, I haven't looked into ground travel, but that's something you can look into. So, because my husband did that research, he was able to get the dog's FABIN test, which is a 3-month pool. It's kind of like an A1C for dogs, if you think about it. Um, the vets will pull their blood for a count of 3 months consecutive to make sure that the dogs do not or have not ever had rabies in their blood system. And so that takes a few weeks. And when that finally comes back, if the dog has never had rabies, then you're clear. You don't have to do the 120 days, but you need that FABIN test in order to have the dogs go to Hawaii. Hawaii is a rabies-free state. So they want to make sure that all the animals that come to their state are rabies-free, which I would too. If you guys were coming to my house, I want to make sure that you don't have fleas. So, okay, that's on another subject. Yeah, shiny. Okay, so I thank my husband for that so much. So now that is all taken care of. He is in communication through the app with that pet place, and I will put that pet place in the bottom of this episode because I feel like everybody should have that resource and that the opportunity to have that peace of mind. I mean, it is a very high cost, however, it's peace of mind. So, what would you rather have? Okay, not only do the dogs need that FABIN test, but they also have to have another follow-up right before they start flying. So not 10 days before, not 7 days before, but like 5 days before their tickets are set to take them to Hawaii. So thankfully, on-post veterinarians are there for a reason. And they understand that you have to be at your duty station at a certain time, and they get it. So I highly recommend going through the on-post veterinary clinic that you are stationed at right now to do all of that because they are on it. There have been situations where we needed to have our dogs, I mean, just a month ago, no, 2 months ago, one of our dogs had a hematoma in her ear because she just itches a lot because she has like a lot of yeast buildup in her ears. And boom, right before the trip, right? She has this necessity for surgery. And thankfully, we had enough time that we were able to drain it and all of that and give her antibiotics and let her heal with the cone before even the movers got here. So these are things that you kind of have to keep in consideration, but also those are the things that if you have a neurodivergent person in your family, those are the things that are going to trigger a lot of anxiety, a lot of rage, a lot of support on your end. And I'll get into that in a moment. When we segue into the rage triggers, that could be anything from maybe your spouse wants to decompress from all of the stress with physical intimacy, and you're just so stressed beyond belief mentally that you don't have the bandwidth to be there for them intimately. And so that rage will come in the non-physical, like, take your hands off of me right now because I don't want to touch you. Or it could be the fact that you don't want anybody in your space. You need time away. You need to separate. And, those things are natural, not only for neurodivergent minds, those are also for anybody who is overstimulated or depressed or, just anxious. So think about that when you start having a spouse or a child that is possibly having some behavioral problems, some behavioral outbursts, or maybe even some passive aggressive behaviors like throwing dishes in the sink because, oh my God, I can't stand this anymore, or I am so at my wit's end. I have gone beyond my forehead in heat. I am like at that boiling temperature. Um, so just keep that in consideration when you have a PCS too, because it happens. We all have to give each other grace. I know it's hard to say that, within that heated, I don't even know what to call it, the cluster of emotions that happens and everything compounds all at once. That is hard to do, and to realize that someone is going through a rage trigger and what type of rage trigger. But being with your spouse, I'm about to get real here. Being with your spouse and knowing that person despite what is happening with the PCS move, or what is happening with your kids' schools, or what is happening with the car that needs to be fixed right before it being shipped, or the finances that are dwindling because you have this PCS that you don't get extra stipend for because it's a 1-day trip on a plane versus a trip across country. That's a thing. Yep, that's absolutely a thing. So, savings and all of that it's extra. It's extra. I encourage you, as both the neurodivergent brain and the typical brain, just take a deep breath, step back, and remember that you two are two beings that fell in love at one point. And you have raised beautiful kids and beautiful little fur babies. And you have this beautiful home that you have cultivated all both together. And yeah, spouses, we do have to leave our work if we don't work from home, or if we do work from home and it's a company that will not travel with you. That is hard. It is hard, and it hits at our egos, and it hits at our self-worth. And for neurodivergent brains, it hits on a personal level. And our typical spouses might say, listen, it's not all about you. It's not all emotional, but it is. It is, though. And disassociation is a big awareness that doesn't always come as a natural instinct for us when we're in that moment of rage and we're in that overwhelm. So just stepping back and going back to basics, right? Going back to the baseline of we're in this together. We were always in this together. It's not about, you, like, there might be some personal attacks because I am attest to that this time. Other PCSs, I've been fine in the continental US. I've been great. But going out of the country and still being in the country, like, it just doesn't, neurotypical brains might agree, like, might understand this, but my neurodivergents are just like, yeah, I get that. Oh my God, yeah. And if you do, please message me and share with me your experience, because I need a support I need support right now. The love might not feel like love at that moment, but it is. It's there. Self-regulation, again, might not be the automatic response. However, as the spouse, the neurotypical brain, please try your hardest to possibly aid in your spouse's self-regulation. I know that makes it's like a oxymoron, right? Help your spouse with their self-regulation. It's like you need to self-regulate on your own, but you also need help with that. It's like a hypocrisy. Anyway, contradictory. But you do. We all need support, whether you're typical or neurodivergent, and it may be the one that's more sane or more able to handle the stress more comfortably can help with that. Because let's say for me anyway, it's nice for me to have time away to work on my podcast, work on interviewing other people, separating from the stress and um hearing another perspective. That's nice for me. And my husband doesn't always think about what is nice for me because he is also stressed. And so for me to think about him in those situations when I am self-regulated and well, then it's nice, but you can only do so much when you're both stressed. So again, self-regulating can be a bath, it can be a walk around the neighborhood, it could be a drive, it can be tapping, simple as breathing, tapping your meridians in your body to relieve some of that stress. It can just be as simple as that, right? It doesn't have to be this extravagant, oh, I'm going to go to the spa and spend all this money, or and take myself out to the bar and get drunk. And that's not self-regulating. That's toxic. That's numbing out. So figure out what is a self-regulation activity for you that is healthy and share that with your husband or spouse, your wife, or your children. Children have different self-regulations. Some children are introverts and some are extroverts, and some want to be with their friends and some don't want to be with their friends. Some don't even know how to sit down and read a book, relax. So brushing their skin is actually pretty relaxing, or playing tickle is relaxing. Even reading a book to them, singing to them, walking outside with them, or just holding them. Sometimes that's a self-regulation that involves someone else, as at least a child. And an adult might want that too, but you know, that all depends on that person. That also helps me to jump to our next topic, which is communication. Once you have found out what has helped you to self-regulate and what the overstimulation is, then you can start to communicate with your spouse or your kids about what's been holding you back or what's been really getting in the way of progress in the house, of the PCS, of the move, or what's really been aching at your heart. And this is hard for people who do not share their feelings and do not share often and feel like they are in control all the time, that they are type A, and they want to make sure that they're the caregiver of the home, and they don't need to be validated in that way, right? Validation is almost weak, but sometimes for that person to admit what's been happening to them is a relief for the other members of the family. And the reason being is because they don't feel like they are such a disappointment, or they are not enough, or they don't have to perform with such pressure, right? Because you're giving yourself so much pressure, so that makes them also have to perform with that pressure. And that's very hard at times. So just think about that. If there has been anything in my experience that has resonated with you that you kind of relate to, please share that with me. If you want to share your PCS story, oh, I would love to hear it, because I know friends who go to overseas like Germany, and I know that they go to Australia and England, and they go to all these really cool places like Italy and Japan and Korea with their soldiers. And I know that the army is doing this thing now where they're trying not to move people so much because A, it's expensive, and second, it stabilizes the family, especially during schools and adolescence with friends and things like that. So I would love to hear your take on all of this and see if you have resonated with this. And I thank you for listening to the whole thing through my ranting and my venting and my self realizations and reflections. And I hope that it was put in a way that you could understand it. And again, to recap, I'd like to say that today I talked a lot about PCSing and ADHD, which is the neurodivergent mind, which is a little confusing for some, but it's also a very high stimulating disorder. And the typical brain, which functions with very, very nice executive functioning, like you're able to handle things more gracefully. What we've talked about was overstimulation, what has overstimulated myself, not just in general, as well as rage triggers, what rage triggers, I have experienced, and communication. Communication is super important to put all these things into a system where you understand what has been overstimulating you or overwhelming you, and then feeling it, having that process go through you, and then communicating that with your family. That is super important for PCS to go smoothly and to iron out all of those stressors that have happened throughout the PCS. Because some PCSs could last 6 months, guys. Some last 3 weeks, others 3 months. So, just hang in there. You got this. And you've got people in our community, the military community, who understand you. And we're all here for each other. So hang in there. And thank you again for being loyal to Coaching the Brave with Giovanna Chase. I am Giovanna Chase, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to Coaching the Brave with Giovanna Chase. Follow me on Instagram at Giovanna Chase Coaches. I am doing a career manifestation program. It's actually a 2-hour session where you and I, one-on-one, will talk about what exactly is your dream situation, your dream job, the job that you feel you will never be able to achieve because what other people say. Like, oh yeah, you could be happy in your job, but you won't get paid what you want or what you need. Or yeah, you can have all the pay you want, but it's going to be super stressful and it's going to be super hard. So these are the limiting beliefs that I help to break down and help you to understand your perspective versus the societal perspective and beliefs of society that want to keep us kind of contained in one genre. So if you are interested in that, sign up with me or message me on Instagram or email me at giovannachasecoaches@gmail.com. And again, my Instagram handle is Giovanna Chase Coaches, and I will see you there. Have a great week, everybody, and Happy New Year.